Test problem.
No, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh my God.
Not the.
Tell me about
it. So I was like, yeah, that's our.
my aches and pains.
And we don't wanna start, we wanna make sure we don't wanna start a new meeting, we wanna hit, what is it called? Wait,
I hit webinar.
okay, good,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's already started.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We're underway. We're down a few people today. We're missing John Cahill and Miranda and Chris. So if somebody can volunteer to take minutes in a document in our shared folder, if that could be possible.
I've done it before, so.
Oh,
You have
good.
done it before. So you want to do it again?
Yeah, I will try.
Are
I
you
just feel
online?
bad if you gotta jump in if I have to take that call.
Okay,
Which,
That's all right.
like knock on wood that this person will. Yeah. Get it.
we've got it.
We got it. Okay, good. You're in there and what's happening. Thank you for that.
Can I just join,
Ooh.
is it COG guest, is that? what-
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Mhm. I can never stay in there. For some reason, it bumps me out.
Me too.
Yeah.
Just did, I was like, oh
Yeah.
no, what's.
That's what I'm gonna do is go to Google, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you want to just do it in a Word doc or something too, or I don't know, whatever works for you, but.
I'm just gonna, yeah.
Oh, it's a. Yeah.
I know, now they come. Fancy.
Shall we
I like the little
do?
I know, it's, cause I have a bigger,
Uh-huh.
this one will fit. in my
Oh,
bag.
I'll put you on there.
Okay, once we get settled in here, just note that we're missing John, Chris, and. That's
Do
it.
we have a quorum?
I mean, yeah, we have a quorum.
Oh, good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we do. Okay, if I can get this underway and have somebody approve, a vote to approve the minutes from July 30th. If you have all read them and reviewed them, need a motion?
I so move.
Okay, and a second to
Second.
that? Thank you, Billy. Any discussion about the minutes? And all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? No. Okay, thank you.
Who took these minutes? They're great.
Miranda.
Miranda is
Yeah.
Susan Ernie,
the
correct?
queen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you need this list to check off. Who's that?
Oh, no, I do have it, I'm just quickly catching up, so I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure I get the right people.
All right, we have a
Thank you.
lot of things on the
Super
agenda
okay.
this morning, so the first thing that I listed here is the Committee for the Arts Policies and Practices. There was some correspondence over the last month with the city. I had asked that the policies and practices document that we developed as a group be posted, be approved by whatever means it needs to be approved by the mayor's office, and it had to go before city council. I wasn't sure what the process would be because it's not technically part of the ordinance. But it allows us to do our work, right, with some, strategic thought. And so I had asked that those policies and practices be posted to the website so that the public could, have access to them and know what to expect if they have something to propose. So the response that I got back from the legal department, from Suzanne Egan, was basically that the Committee for the Arts doesn't actually have the authority to do these things. And
Right,
go ahead, Kate.
yeah, that's correct. Well, initially it was, I think because this is new in terms of like creating these. And the
Right,
mayor initially when, again, he was like, oh, this looks good, I'm gonna run it by legal.
yes.
And then,
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
ordinance doesn't specifically say that the Committee for the Arts is charged with the things that are in the policies and procedures, right? It's not that specific. It's is much more general than that. And so I've been in touch with Suzanne Egan, and the next step in this process is to get a meeting with her, the mayor, Jill Cahill, and that's probably it, to figure out how to revise the ordinance so that we do have the ability to do our work. If the city actually wants this committee, to advise on things having to do with city-owned artworks. We need these processes and practices in place really to do it in a strategic and sort of an organized way. You know, so that this all has to be done. So I'm following through with Suzanne Egan on this to see what we need to do in terms of updating the ordinance.
This is not new.
I'm sure it's not.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure it's not.
20 This is not new. We had
Yeah.
the same go around
Yeah,
years ago.
Yeah.
And that is why when we all first came together, this whole awkward language about the poet laureate was embedded in our ordinance.
because it was really specific.
Because, yeah,
Like
and,
that's specific.
and they would not accept any other documentation because they would have to approve each and every item.
Yeah. So we're trying to make improvements to this.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, it's a process. So that's the next step on that, is trying to get that meeting happening. Meanwhile, you know, we're constantly asked to weigh in on things, but we don't technically have our approved set of processes and practices, you know, to rely on. So
Yeah,
we're just kind of.
It's ambiguous and
It's
that-
very ambiguous
Yeah.
where we stand, yeah. Mhm. You know, I think we're doing our best to try to make it clear. Meantime, so for instance, this is not on the agenda, but it fits under basically the city's collections subcommittee brief report. So I want to talk about it now because it's top of mind. As of yesterday, I got an email from the mayor and Terry Weber, who led the Gloucester 400 Stories project. The mayor asked Terry to be in touch with me, us, to apprise us of this thing that's going to happen with the Gloucester Fishermen's statue. So there's a storyteller, Jim Clark, who did a story for the Gloucester 400 Stories project about the statue, about the man at the wheel statue and the artist and all. He apparently discovered that there was an inscription high up on the sculpture, I don't know exactly where, that he would like to take a rubbing of. And so they're proposing, they wanted, and it's nice, they invited us to be part of this process. And I don't know yet when it's going to be, but for some reason they want to do it at night because there's something about the light that's better at night. Maybe it's the spotlight that's on the statue that makes it show up better. But they also wanted one of us to represent there whenever this happens, just to have other eyes on it. So I spoke with Terry yesterday and I asked her another set of questions this morning, including like why at night and does the person have a spotter or somebody else to make sure that he's safe?
Yeah.
There's nothing that's gonna touch the statue. It's just gonna be one of these kind of like, you know, ladders that he's gonna be up on, like a scaffolding kind of ladder. And so that's all happening. Has anyone heard anything about any of this?
The only thing I've heard, that there is supposedly a time capsule
Yes,
there,
it's a legend
yeah. And there was going to be,
in the base of the man at the
and
wheel.
then somebody was talking about a quest to find the capsule.
Yeah, no, it exists. It's just that's a whole other issue.
That's a different issue. Okay,
Which is exciting,
okay.
by the way.
But it's a legend and it has not been confirmed.
Okay, this doesn't have anything to do with the time capsule, it's just about this. So just for the record and for the tape, Terry emailed me saying several months ago, while doing research on a story for the Stories Project, a researcher named Jim Clark discovered that there may be an engraving on the fisherman's statue that was totally forgotten about and today's residents were unaware of. With the support of the city and a police detail present, the researcher placed a ladder next to the statue, not touching the statue, and took a look. It was indeed there. A few casual photos were taken. It was daylight, but the inscription could not be seen very easily. After some thought and further research, Jim thought it might be a good idea to get an etching and also take a photo at night. With a smaller amount of proper light, Jim thinks he can get a better photo. Also, while he was there, he would get an etching. Safety would be the
That means
top,
rubbing?
rubbing.
All right.
Safety would be the top priority of the researcher and of the statue. No ladder would be leaning against the statue. It would only be alongside the statue. Photography would not require touching the statue. I am not sure about what the etching requires, but it is likely just a piece of paper over the inscription and some chalk to capture the inscription, kind of like a gravestone rubbing. I will confirm this, however. I'm sharing this information with you first for your knowledge, second, to invite any members of the committee to be present if they'd like to be, and third, to ask for any input or guidance regarding the safety issues or other thoughts that might come to mind. Jim Clark is not only a researcher, but he also has experience in construction. He is a very thoughtful and responsible person. He wrote the signature piece and only biography of Leonard Kresge's life for the Stories Project. The project would take 1 to 2 visits to the statue, but hopefully would be completed on the first visit. So I asked her, why at night? Can anybody accompany him to ensure ladder safety? And will she or Jim notify the police and DPW? And I don't know when exactly.
It could be a bigger story, tying in the other discoveries or,
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm dying to know what it says.
Yeah.
Of course, anyway, so that's just happening, there's no action item on this, I don't think, until we learn when it's going to be. When I learn when it's gonna be, does anybody wanna be there?
Sure.
Depends
I'm
on
happy
happy
there.
Okay, I'll let you know, okay.
Yeah, I may be.
Thursdays are good.
No days, good. Yeah, anyway, all right.
It's actually not that unusual for people to put time capsules and things.
No.
Yeah.
I put some of the stuff that's gone out.
Oh, this is a different, maybe, are you saying that maybe or the inscription may have something to do? with it?
No.
No, I'm saying in
separate.
general.
Okay,
The
right.
sculptors will tend to put
That's
little
very
things
cool.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you,
Interesting.
do people know, like, say, a piece that you've done, if
No.
that exists, yeah, I love that.
That is really interesting. I like that.
yeah.
I give them a signal though.
Mhm.
No, you can hear something go tick, tick. So that tells them
Oh, there's
something's
something in
up,
there, that's cool.
that there's
Yeah,
something in there.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, no, hopefully not a
Oh, that's
bomb.
fascinating. I think it's fascinating. Me too.
Okay, so that's that, and again, just it's under sort of the city's collections subcommittee. Business here. The other thing that's under that agenda item is Roger Armstrong's restoration proposal for the Stacy Bronze plaque. It's been done, it was done the other day, and he went through the process. We had talked about this at prior meetings. He wrote out a proposal to say, this is why it's needed, here's before pictures, this is how it's gonna be done. We gave him some feedback, he followed through with that. The last piece that had to happen with that last week was that he called me to say, Bruce Lane, the restorer guy, it was gonna come down tomorrow, which was like Wednesday to Thursday, and I said, well, I had sent him an MOU from the city, just a memorandum of understanding saying that, yes, they can do this as long as there's an insurance rider. As long as, number one, Bruce Lane has insurance, and number two, there's a rider protecting the city in case anyone's walking by, gets hurt, whatever, so. Roger doesn't do email, as it turns out, so he didn't get the MOU the week before. So he called me the day before Bruce was supposed to show up, and I said, well, where's the MOU? So he scrambled, apparently, he came over to my house and got the printed out version that I gave to him and brought it to Bruce Lane, and apparently they made it all happen. I said, you can't do this unless you return this to the city, signed, by Bruce Lane, and he gets the insurance rider and gives it to the city. So apparently all that happened because the work was then done and it was posted on Facebook with after shots, before and after shots, and it looks beautiful. And the mayor actually posted it, so I'm assuming, that all those pieces got put in place. So
Was there a report?
there was no specific report, it was just the after shot.
He should complete it.
What should be in the report? I forgot.
Well, what he did, And all of the procedures that he did, every treatment that he did to.
And the date of the, right, the date.
And accompanied by the pictures.
I will ask for that.
Yeah, that would be important for the future.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Although we asked him to follow certain procedures going into it, which he agreed to, a confirmation of that for the records is important.
Okay. Okay, I can ask for that. All right. So that's that. You know, again, that's one of those things that we put in place as far as the process goes. But as of this point in time, I'm unsure whether we have the authority to ask for things like that. Anyway, that's where we're at. So proposals for new work. Sal Zarelli was going to join us by. I'm sorry, I've forgotten things because I have way too many things in my head these days, but Sal Zarelli, do you folks know him? He heads up Awesome Gloucester and Awesome Rockport and has been doing so since he founded the two organizations, and they've made thousands and thousands of $1,000 mini grants over the last 10 years. Sal has also headed up an initiative to get murals put up all over Gloucester, including the one on the Chamber of Commerce building, the new cod fish that's down on a building in the fort, which is gorgeous, and several others. And he was going to attend by Zoom, but I don't see him on there. He's wanting to just come before us because we have these processes and procedures. And even though the murals that he's doing, has done and is going to be doing are on private buildings, so he doesn't technically have to come in front of us for any guidance or permission, but he wanted to just make us aware because these murals are out in the public space. And so I'm just gonna read to you his quick proposal. Sal Zarelli, founder and dean of Awesome Gloucester, is spearheading an exciting new public art project in the heart of Gloucester. The project, with the working title Fitzhenry Lane Mural, aims to bring a piece of the city's rich artistic history to life on a grand public scale. The mural will be a faithful reproduction of an iconic Fitzhenry Lane painting depicting Gloucester Harbor. It's set to adorn the old Empire Fish Building at 11 Harbor Loop, directly across from the Fitzhenry Lane statue. This strategic location creates a meta-themed installation as the mural will represent what Lane's statue appears to be painting. This ambitious undertaking marks the 7th mural project by the Awesome Foundation in Gloucester and Rockport. Zarelli and his team bring considerable experience to the task, having successfully completed 6 public murals in the past 4 years. The project is funded by a $5,000 grant from ECCF. It's actually one of my other hat things, and generous support from Awesome Gloucester trustees. Weather permitting, the mural is scheduled to begin the week of September 23rd, 2024, with an estimated completion time of 10 days. Notably, the project requires no city support, showcasing the self-sufficiency and community-driven nature of Awesome Gloucester's initiatives. The mural not only promises to beautify the Harbor Loop, but also serves as a testament to Gloucester's enduring artistic legacy, bridging past and present in a visually striking manner. Importantly, this will be the 3rd public mural Awesome Gloucester has produced on Harbor Loop. I know of one other that's on one of the maritime, on the Dory shop building. I don't know exactly where the other one is. For more information about Awesome Gloucester's approach and commitments to public murals, you can read our mural philosophy statement here. And I don't know if I can link to that. Anyway, that's striking out here with that. So that's all. He wanted us to be aware because this is in the public space. And he's good at getting permissions for every place that he's doing these things. He's got a great track record as far as I can tell. And he just wanted us to be aware. Any comments about this?
Do you know what method he uses? I'm
Yeah,
just
they
curious.
paint.
He actually
They
paints.
It's not, he's not the muralist.
No, he's the
Ah.
orchestrator.
He's the orchestrator. He gets the
So he
resources
doesn't-
and sources the buildings and then works with, he's been working with this collective called Studio Fresh.
Mhm.
And they did a number of them. Josh Falk, I think is part of that collective, but he did the mural on the, down at the fort of
Mhm.
the codfish.
Yep.
You know, they do
Yeah.
phenomenal work.
Yeah.
They also did
The one on Maplewood Ave.
breezing up on Maplewood Avenue,
Mm.
on Walt Calenda's building, on the,
Oh, in the chamber, they did the thing on the bottom.
they
of
did the
it.
chamber, yeah. the
Oh,
chamber,
okay.
yeah. So they did fabulous, fabulous work, and I think they just use paint. I don't, it's not like spray paint, like,
Yeah.
it's not that large scale, but they.
Amazing.
So anyway, and I can't tell, maybe we can look after, but I can't exactly tell where this wall is gonna be that will be facing. But, yeah, any thoughts about him or our role in this, just kind of guiding?
It's very courteous.
It is very courteous of it, yes, yeah, yeah,
And it says that somebody noticed we're here.
yes, right, yeah. Any comments about the subject matter or placement or public role?
Subject matter seems very benign and good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's the thing with public art.
yeah,
People don't have a choice whether to look at it, so you have to
Right,
be
right,
really
right.
careful.
yeah, okay. One exciting thing about this is that I've met with Sal. And, you know, just full disclosure, he is one of our current change makers in my Creative County Change Makers program. And the, part of this is part of his change maker project, so we give him $1,000 mini grant to just further work, and he's in a cohort of 12 other people from around Essex County who are working at the intersection of community and arts in different ways. He's an active member in that, this year, he's a part of the 2024 cohort. But one exciting thing that he's got in mind to do maybe eventually is to tackle the blank walls that you can see from the water,
Oh, that's,
you know?
That's nice.
So there are so many blank walls on Marigold buildings and others that you can see from the
Right.
water. And he considers it a dream of his to be able to do something with, you know, local industry, local stakeholders, to be able to do something with those walls down the road. He's also met with folks from Beyond Walls in
Yes.
Lynn, which has
We've
has
met
done
with them
the-
as
the-
well.
Yeah, the major murals there. So,
Yeah.
you know, he's tapping into all the right resources with this.
And beyond, when I had our meeting with Beyond Walls, they don't do anything on the water.
Right, they
Yeah.
have not, but
Yeah,
they
that-
probably,
Yeah,
they probably enjoy the challenge.
right, right.
Yeah.
I know logistically that is like, you know, I think a really beautiful point of like the view of the city and.
It would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes,
There could be water mural tours. that
Yeah.
would-
exactly.
I mean, encouraging, I mean, it's the spirit of Gloucester, you know, so.
I know I was approached by the Core Foundation, they wanted to do a mural to recognize addiction, and that's where
Oh.
their place is over by the old
Mhm,
Whole Foods.
mhm.
And they wanted it to be a spirit, you know, their logo is the guiding lighthouse. So they're the guiding light to recovery and so they really, and I was like, oh, I don't know how to do that.
Oh, no, that's
I can try to
fantastic.
think up with the right
I mean,
people,
he's
but
got-
I don't have that.
Sal's kind of figured it out, you know, they've done
Okay.
several now, they've done a
Yeah.
couple in Rockport. Anyway, you know, he's
I'll
figuring
pass
out the
that email.
methodology with
Yeah,
this.
that
and-
share the,
Yeah.
connect, another connection that's important with the city as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and so that's it with Sal, anything else on that? Okay, anything on Thomas Starr, where are we on Thomas
I
Starr?
think if that we need to recommend, I think that's the next point that I spoke with Alex and he said we need to
make the recommendation to the city to accept the work, from my understanding.
Because we got Thomas's full proposal and you shared it with us
Yeah.
and
yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Refresh our memories on that, Kate, where the location, the proposed locations are.
so that's where I think if that will be the next step in terms of like, he's identified different locations and in speaking with the mayor's office, we can then proceed, if we accept that he create the pieces, we then, I guess, also advise or guide him as a group to where the pieces, which pieces and how many pieces we will allow.
Okay,
And these are just those
The
medallions.
medallions,
Yeah.
yeah, they were, we had a sample medallion and that was shared and it was, people enjoyed seeing that work. So that was, I asked Alex how we proceed. He said that would be the next step for us to approve the proposal. And then I guess it's also managing the logistics of the messaging and the location. So this is new for us.
It's very effective, I think.
And timely for.
So we can't approve
We can recommend,
yet. We can recommend to the city that
yes,
Thomas Starr's proposal be approved by the city
yes.
and that we will continue to provide guidance
Mhm,
as it's implemented.
correct. I think that makes the
Can
most.
somebody make that motion?
Also move.
Thank you. Second. All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Good, okay.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
Yeah.
All right, whatever I say.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Kate, anything on your coordinator role?
Yeah, there are a few things. Let's see. We are, again, in the process of, applying for the Making It Public grant with NEFA and MAPC. And the deadline's end of September. So last year the response was positive. They liked our application. One of the drawbacks is that I was still new to the city. And Alex, Kopelman formerly worked with MAPC, so he is actually gonna be partnering with me on this grant. I'm confident that we have the strong material of this $15,000. It will be for a temporary public art project. So essentially, if we're accepted in the cohort, with other cities, we then take participate in a 6-week long, I guess it's a course or where they discuss sort of DEI initiatives in accepting public art. And then we apply what we learn to the call to artists.
Oh, cool.
And I think it's the 3rd year, so we can look into other cities and what has been done and how, those processes have been put in place. So it's great. Anyway, so that's step one. And we do have to have 2 to 3 employees dedicated to be a part of this, I guess, training course. So it would be myself, Alex, and Erin, who is our admin.
Great.
And then it's just a matter of getting that in the hands of the powers that be, so that's good. And then also, I know tying in with Anna and the arts inventory coordinator, I'm in the process of downloading the imagery. I just sort of said, let's go, I'll take those to free up her Google Drive. Alex has met with the IT department and I haven't had a clear direction as to where that will live. So, but freeing up her space, which is really important. And then the second is, there's an outstanding bill for her additional time. And I had talked to Anna before about getting that in before end of fiscal year. And since the invoice was received after fiscal year, we've got some other procedures to follow with this where we have to either create an addendum to our contract, an extension to our contract, because the funding, the ARPA funding it ended end of fiscal year. And that was where her funds were coming from. So, it's just, I'll find out more. It's just, it's logistical. So one suggestion I had was if we could look into, how much money we have in our funds.
Can you let us know that? Yeah, because I have no idea how to tap into that information.
Have been, yeah, it's a good question. So
Yeah.
I was curious too. Everyone says,
Okay.
well, it's the such and such code, so it's not under my purview. So that's where, that was my last suggestion. So I'll be checking in this week. We had, people were out of office last week, so hopefully,
Okay.
we'll have an answer. It's just a matter of, what bucket do we pull from
Yeah.
that? So it's,
Great.
that, yeah, Suzanne is overseeing some of that legalese.
Mhm.
And I think those are sort of the big things that I can think of right now.
Great. By the way, my conversation with Suzanne was very productive, very productive. She's totally on board with, with us doing what we're doing. So I feel a lot of cooperation there. I think we speak the same language around it too, so that's.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah. To connect the dots. Great. Well, thanks, Kate. Anything else in questions, Kate, in her role?
Oh, and the other, tying it into number 5 with arts inventory, we're just looking, I have, and again, Alex was out, but we're just trying to facilitate where it can live on the webpage. I also found out ways how we can update some of that outdated material. Just want to make sure we do it the correct way.
Okay, and that we have access to, you have access to.
Yes,
it,
Erin is able, shared that she is able to make updates, so I just want to
Okay,
clear that, how we update, just even some of the small bits. The larger piece of where will this beautiful display live is a
Yeah.
bigger question, but there's on the homepage, I think, already visual images that I think we can just replace or add links, so yeah, it's exciting because it just looks so good to share
Yeah.
with all the hard work that Anna did.
So the entire collection will.
Well,
be-
it would be linked, so, maybe highlighting, and again, I visualize it having some, of the strong pieces that are engaging and then a way for the public to access.
and search,
Yeah.
be able to search through.
Mhm.
Yeah, she ended up with what, 260 or something like that.
Yeah.
Objects that she documented, so that are in there. Good. Cool, all right, thank you, Kate. So let's talk about the CPA funded projects. I know, our little working group here, Billy and Judith, and we've been in touch with Zoe from purchasing. Is she from purchasing?
Oh, I just had the email.
She tracks the CPA grants, the community
Senior Project
preservation.
Manager, Community Development Grants Division.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Zoe.
okay.
In my
That's-
office.
So she's been in touch with us a lot,
Okay.
wanting to,
Oh, yeah.
she's been wanting to connect the dots and just to sort of wrap up her work in this, which means that for the CPA grants that are sitting in a city account somewhere, they need to be specified for certain projects with certain vendors. And there's so little flexibility when it comes to these kinds of, municipal grants, but we have all kind of decided that based on the initial CPA application that we filed last year and that was accepted, that $45,000 of that CPA fund, of the 125, will go to Williamstown, Judith, and 80,000 will go to Skylight Studios. So Williamstown has the murals, Skylight Studios has the statues and bronze plaques. And their work basically is, assessing where we are prioritizing what needs to be done, what can be done within those budgets over the next, year and a half. So what Zoe has been pushing us for is basically an invoice from both vendors that says, I'm gonna do this for $45,000, I'm gonna do this for $80,000. This is what the proposed work is, Within that construct, the vendors and we can be somewhat flexible in what we had proposed and what is now apparent to us that needs to be done and what is affordable because prices have gone up since we made the proposal to the CPA. So there is flexibility in the actual scope of work that each vendor can do. But we need to get those scopes of work and we need to get the estimates to Zoe and so that there can be an MOU with each of those vendors undertaken over, the coming months. So the work can actually start to get done this fall.
What is the absolute deadline?
I don't know. Zoe emails me almost every day, so like yesterday, as far as I'm concerned.
That's interesting. Yeah.
There's no specific deadline, however, the CPA funds have to be
Probably fiscal year.
fiscal year was
Yeah,
July,
July.
So
I don't, internally, this is an internal city accounting matter, right?
So can,
yeah.
if you propose, for which we did, two sets of murals. One for sure we have, and we have the estimate for it, and we're gonna go ahead with it, but there is a little bit of money left over, not enough probably to do more. But is there a vehicle by which we could perhaps look through our under the stage inventory for a small piece?
That would require somebody from Williamstown coming and overseeing and working with us on that.
Yeah.
We're not qualified.
No. I mean, they have
Williamstown
it all, and I could go through, there are a lot of, there are different artists who've done series, we call them series, but they're fragments. And they vary in size and so forth. The one that we put in as a secondary series, the pieces are large. And we don't think we can afford to include those with the primary one that we were submitting. However, there is another series by, I believe, a different artist that has some smaller pieces. So if I were to ask Williamstown to give me an updated estimate on that, and that might fit to bring us up to 45, do I have time to do that?
I think you do, sure, yeah, as long as they can do it fairly
Okay.
quickly, yeah.
Well, I'll get with them today.
All right, great.
Yeah.
And if they need to come out and take another look or whatever, that'll have
Well,
to be
that-
facilitated.
That's the other problem, and so when they sent the original estimates in to you, to Zoe and so forth, it was a range between a low number and a high number. And if the high number is real, that changes what we can add on to the, put into the basket, so to speak. So and then it doesn't include their coming and packing things up and the transport, which would all be additional costs that I do not believe are reflected, but I will ask them.
Okay,
But if we could change to another artist and a smaller piece to fill in that 45, I would love that.
I think we can do that as long as it's considered a, priority, preserving murals as a priority, so.
They're all in tough shape and they all need to be.
Exactly, right.
So I
So,
don't think that's an
I think
issue.
as long as they consider it a priority and they represent that to us,
Yeah.
that should fly, and I think would be fine. And as far as their estimate goes, they can build in some auxiliary costs, and transportation and packaging and all that stuff. And up to and not to exceed $45,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's our budget with them for
And
this.
what
period,
about
so.
photography? I know that they charge like $400 or $500 for photography.
Up to and including
Can I-
$45,000.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to
Yeah.
them and see what we can
have them include
Yeah.
all the costs. you know.
And
yeah.
I'm sure it's very confusing to Zoe because this is so weird.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
weird.
It's
It is,
nothing,
yeah.
nothing
It's not like-
solid about it.
Yeah, it's not like,
Yeah.
buying a thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's, yeah,
So he's the administrator of the
yes, of the
funds?
grants, yeah, for the city, yeah. And
And then
Billy,
update Skylight, so in the beginning, he was asking for images and a description of everything, so I took what Anna had done and created our own kind of little list. And then I also linked to the images that somebody had shared, so I had that as well. So he's kind of working on that, but then he asked for the locations. And then some of them don't have locations,
right.
and that was about a week ago. So I don't know if there's an easy, because you had mentioned maybe the DPW or Stage 4 Park Committee might have a map of some sort.
Did they or did,
I haven't heard,
okay,
but I thought it was gonna be like me just being like, oh yeah, that's there, but it isn't. It's like,
yeah.
it's not as easy as I would have thought. So I'm like, this information must be somewhere.
yeah.
Anna may have, if it allows, some sort of record or something, or even the images could have a, like a direction or something, but that was that was kind of the last question I had. He's actively working on it. I answered the rest of his questions thanks to you and Rebecca, because he just had some questions that are outside of my scope of understanding since was relatively new, but so far so good. He's just kind of trucking along. And so, but the last issue was he just wanted kind of a map of everything. But I don't know how important that is for for what Zoe needs. I don't know.
Just needs the financial.
Right. Okay, so I think I'll email him today and just be like, we just need this part, and then that part can wait a little bit.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
cause I think I misunderstood and thought it needed it all together, but I'll just ask for the proposal.
And you know, the thing it
Yeah.
is that I've stressed with you is you're not
Yeah.
alone on this.
Right, right.
We can find the map. If we find a map, maybe
Okay.
a bunch of us go over to Stage
Right,
Park
that's-
and
yeah.
start canvassing the
And
place.
it'll be a treasure hunt.
While the weather's still good.
Yeah, the scavenger hunt.
Right, exactly, right.
So our inventory is not complete that way.
Huh,
It's not complete as far as locations go, is that correct?
Some of them, yeah,
Okay.
some of them, yeah, for the most part, it's pretty, he said it's pretty well, but I guess there's a few of them that don't have the actual location, which I'm sure he needs for the end, but I don't think, from my understanding, I don't think he needs it for the part that Zoe needs.
No.
But
Just
we
grabbing that
should
information
have it
from
on the
him.
inventory anyway.
Right, right.
So it's information that's good.
Okay,
wow, that's really helpful.
Oh, and then also, he had asked about, like scope, like you said, high or low estimates. And then I just basically kind of reiterated what Rebecca had said originally.
Right.
Like, use your judgment, he's the expert, and then we can kind of go off of his recommendation, because it's his job to do that.
okay,
So that's where it was left on that, and so I had a previous email from Rebecca that we just referred back to as well.
great.
Can I ask another quick question? In the proposal, there was some work done on some actual monuments, wasn't there? I mean, not just the estimate, but actual work.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
we budgeted in work to do
so
the.
how should we proceed with that? I mean, we're doing the what he's doing with Skylight by looking at all of them and giving us all that
Assessments.
information,
But
but
it's gonna depend on that. Yeah, the way that we proposed the work roll out is that we get, an assessment by the experts.
Right,
And based on that and their assessment of where the priorities are for work
yeah,
and what our budget is, then we decide what can be undertaken.
okay,
Our proposal, the grant application basically said, these are potential statues, monuments, that could be worked on, but it depends on what the assessment yields.
right.
We don't know.
Falls into budget.
no,
We
when
don't
you're,
know what we don't know until we know it.
when you're working with Bob, he is really incredible.
Oh, yeah.
He is an artist and
Yeah.
he is one of the people we can identify that could create a green patina finish
Right.
on things. And that would be very important for the man at the wheel. And there's also a
Yeah,
plaque in Stageport Park that the artist is still alive and
Oh,
has
wow.
requested that it be green.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and Bob
versus-
could, Bob would probably take that on.
Yeah.
But I doubt he would take on the man at the wheel. So anyway, so we need to talk.
Okay,
Yeah, so anyway, that's where that all is. Okay,
Mhm.
anything else on that? Yeah, let me know if there's anything else we can. Any other way we can help you guys, and thank you both for taking that on. It's a lot to piece together. Next on the agenda is poet laureate consideration. Anything new on this, Kate? You were having the next step on this, I think.
Right, in terms of funding, so I looked into a couple of the funding options. Specifically, there's like, one that, I think it's through the Mellon Foundation that funds poet laureates. So I know we were trying to figure out, do we have the funding first and then the poet laureate? Their requirement, they had already, it will be for 2025 when that grant process opens. I requested, they don't have a date specified. But they require the poet laureate to be in place prior to the funding, which
Oh,
I
wow.
think is an interesting
yeah,
kind of caveat, because then if you don't get the grant,
Mhm.
putting the horse before the cart.
exactly. So that was one option, and then I know, I guess we can start, and my thought is, do we want to, work on identifying a poet laureate? I mean, this is where it's so hard, like how to find other sources of funding could be another alternative,
Mhm.
for stipends, rather than it, or, so, that's my question.
Mhm.
A horse before the cart.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that, I think it would be helpful to have maybe some sort of language in place regarding stipend. Versus,
I think, yeah, if we wanted to go forward with that, we would need to develop a process, number one, for, is it an application process? Is it an invitation to apply? Is it a general open call to the public to apply? I mean, we need to make some decisions about how we undertake the process, but that's one thing. I think in that process, though, we could say that there isn't funding presently available. However, the Committee for the Arts in the city are actively working to
Mhm.
identify sources of, revenue
Mhm.
for a stipend.
yeah, and that,
It's no apology. I mean, we don't have the money,
right,
but we're conscious of the fact that it
That-
should be a funded thing
exactly.
down the road, and it's not gonna happen overnight.
Yeah.
Nobody's just gonna write a check for
Right.
it.
Right,
So-
and it's interesting too, because sometimes it's like if you receive a grant, I understand the other side of if you receive a grant and don't have somebody in place for,
Exactly,
it's like, who are we funding? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that idea too. I think that I was sort of trying to see how it's been done in the past. I know it's been an honor for the city to be a poet laureate, but I guess moving forward, what would the call to action be? I guess, I would say, I don't know if it's an I think it would be probably more diplomatic not to have it as an invitation, but as a, open call with some, considerations. I know like they had said that, you had been involved in the past where, publication, or,
Well,
Yeah.
the main thing is that they weren't interested.
okay,
I mean, and you don't want to put out a call, however you want to craft it,
Yeah.
whether it's targeted to, and then have no one apply. I mean, it's really embarrassing.
I think people would apply at this stage of the game.
I think that with a new, I think with the possibility of a stipend, it would
Mhm.
make a huge
Certainly.
difference. So,
Also, could we somehow partner with the Writer's Center in
Yeah.
terms of
Well, I would,
putting out
this
a
is what
call?
I
Definitely.
would suggest, I don't know
Yeah.
who would do this, but that we have some little private conversations with some of the leaders of the literary community to see what their thoughts are.
Well,
I mean-
instead of talking about it in terms of little private conversations, I think we should
Okay, well,
probably,
I
I think we should probably like co-create this thing
Sure.
with the literary community of Gloucester and maybe invite them in to figure out, you know, what the best process is
stand
for
corrected.
inviting.
I think so too, because of that makes sense, you know, having it transparent, I know, because I believe it was, Miranda had said something related to this in the last meeting when we mentioned it, so I do like that idea of like, yeah, keeping it open, we could do like press around it, make it exciting, exploring funding opportunities, yeah.
Just
Or is
want
it
us to make
2-year
sure
term?
that that's what they want.
Yeah,
And we don't want to make a big deal out of something if nobody wants it.
mm, well,
I think the Writers Center will embrace it.
I think so, I think so
I think
too.
so.
I
And
think
it's
things have
another-
changed since back then.
yeah, and I think too,
I mean,
yeah,
it didn't
maybe we
exist.
didn't.
The Writer's Center
Yeah.
didn't exist
Oh,
last time around.
So perfect.
Wow.
so there we go.
Yeah,
And they're kind of poetry central here.
yeah, they are,
They are.
yeah.
And it's,
You know.
I think it would be such a, you know, another beautiful part of, you know,
Absolutely.
the arts in the city.
I can talk to Henry. I haven't had a fight with him. Henry Farini.
And Jennifer
Yeah.
Brown also,
Yeah,
she's also.
She's been an
she's-
active
Yeah, she's
volunteer
very
with them.
active.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
The
she's
Writers'
great, yeah, she does the fishtail, she just did the.
Oh, right,
Fishtail.
of course.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
She's great to work with,
Yeah.
So that
she's
would be awesome.
dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just have
Could
that
we,
gala.
idea.
Could we
Yeah,
have
I
someone
really
come
like- I
to the
work with
next
her
meeting
quite a bit
and
on
just
certain things
chat
and-
about it?
But only because I was looking into just learning about how to write poetry, so she was, the Writers Center was gonna start
Yeah.
doing something, so it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
I think
Um,
then, yeah, there's more, we could kind of create some, yeah, again, like in the call, you know, there could be a tie-in with education, with the school, public schools, there could, you know, having a real role,
No, absolutely.
so.
We, in the policies outline that we have, basically says that the committee may make a recommendation to the mayor to appoint a poet laureate of
Mhm.
Gloucester to represent and promote the art of poetry for a 2-year term. Once appointed by the mayor, the Committee for the Arts will support the poet laureate in their duties outlined below to represent and promote poetry across the city,
Mhm.
to create written works that embody the city, to engage with the community through multiple avenues, including public readings, literary events, and workshops, to serve as a resource for local government, local schools and universities and other organizations that seek to integrate poetry into their efforts. So that's the scope of it.
Integrate that into a mural, like,
Yeah.
get those two together somehow.
Right, right.
Yeah, so I think, I like that idea, and I understand that, you know, the city wants to have the final determination, so that, if we're allowed to proceed with exploring the options and creating the call.
Mhm. Are there other, I mean, there's Dogtown Books and that group there that we could
Yeah.
invite
And
to,
it's the T.S. Eliot House.
T.S.
Oh,
Eliot.
T.S. Eliot,
yeah.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, no, that's right.
Yeah.
I-
With Dana Hawks, yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, that's great, thank
Dana
you.
Hawks, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
and then OI at Town Books.
Right, yeah,
I can't think of anyone else.
Yeah, okay, all right, the three of them anyway, Dogtown.
and they might have
Gloucester,
other
I do-
resources.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
so,
all three of them would love the idea.
Right.
Yeah, again, it's, I think, showing that an acknowledgement.
It is a lot to ask someone to do without a stipend.
Exactly.
though. So if we identify, someone identifies a poet laureate, if it somehow happens, the NEFA grant could be written for the second year too,
Yeah,
right?
I was thinking,
If it's
I,
a
you know,
2-year
maybe, I
stint.
can see how. I can ask some other cities who have poet laureates, how it's been funded and how it's been done.
Mhm.
Since it's new in
Mhm.
terms of the stipend aspect. Some, I did read, you know, I did some research where it would be say the grant is $50,000 over 2 years, they have 15,000 for the stipend and the other funds lend to their other aspects of what they're doing,
Projects and things, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay,
which is quite a bit of money.
Yeah,
So.
no, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
so, yeah, let's invite those groups into our next meeting. I like that idea. Our September meeting and just see what their thoughts are in terms of, you know, criteria, stipends. They may know of other resources for grants for that kind of thing. So, okay, does that make sense?
So do one of us need to do the inviting or how does that happen now?
Well, we'll
Or
put it
do
on
we
the
do it?
agenda, definitely
Uh-huh.
put on the agenda for September meeting and I don't see why we can't just let them know that it's on the agenda. We're gonna be talking about it. We would love their input.
Right,
So,
Zoom in or come in.
so,
yeah, it's
so
coming.
would that come
in.
from, I just wanna,
Doesn't have to come
check
from
on-
me, you know, I think, but do you wanna?
I mean, I could contact
perfect.
everyone.
That'd be great. I
That's
love
what-
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to.
They would,
ask.
yeah, they would.
Do you mean you wanna come on the committee and actually work?
They would respond to you, Susan.
Well, Henry would.
Henry would,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
That's great.
so the
Okay.
three of them, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Good, good.
Dogtown, Writer Center and TSM.
TSM.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay, awesome. That's all I have. The cultural space opportunities remains on their agenda as a standing item.
I got your article, Rebecca.
Thank you.
I forwarded that to Alex.
Oh, great,
So we'll
great.
see what happens.
Alex, I know, is on it. I mean, he's got the right kind of mindset, I think, for looking
I think
out
he
for
does.
opportunities and all that. I'm so excited that he's
Yeah,
part of
That's
the
such a
team
great
now.
article and I just thought. You know, I knew that you had been working so hard.
Right.
So,
Okay.
That's great.
Yep, so nothing's.
Pittsburgh did live-in studio spaces.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really beautiful, so we just.
Okay,
Could you send it?
anything else? Any
Sure.
other
No.
additions to this? Okay. Motion to adjourn,
I so move.
second,
sure, second.
all in favor?
Hi.
All right. We are adjourned and I'm, turn this off. And
So Karen, I'll